First and foremost, before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Chakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us His truth. A sincere shalom to the hopeful like this out there, listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom. All right, so I saw this article while I was at the plantation and thought it would be a good idea for a video. All right. It says flights canceled as entire country runs out of jet fuel thanks to Trump. And I saw this and through the spirit, I thought, yeah, that could definitely cause some problems, man. All right. This devil Trump, all right, this Edomite, the Lord has put it in his spirit to, basically egg all these other nations on until eventually the whole world is basically going to come up against this place. But nevertheless, we're going to get into the article. It says Cuba has told international airlines it won't be able to refuel their planes as supply dries up following President Trump's military operation in Venezuela. You see? So, and what happened was, Donald Trump had kidnapped Maduro, which is going to get into. All right. It says deliveries to the island nation have been choked off by Washington after it took control of Venezuelan exports following the abduction of dictator Nicolas Maduro and encouraged Mexico to withhold supply. And so, that right there, see, it's like, it's like this devil is trying to escalate, which he is. All right, but he talks about peace and shit like that, but he's not about peace, man. All right, he speaks. His speech is smoother than oil, but at the end of the day, war is in his heart, like the scriptures say. Okay, that this thing has nothing to do with him. Whether Mexico gives them oil or not has nothing to do with him. So why is he telling them not to give them anything? You see. All right, and the beautiful thing is that Cuba is an ally of Russia. Okay, Russia and Iran are together. China, right? Mexico and China are together, right? So, he's just causing. And China's pissed off too because they get their oil. Iran gets. Iran doesn't, but China, Russia, they got. Or I'm just gonna say China. From what I remember, China gets their oil from, or got their oil from Venezuela, man. All right, so I'm gonna continue on. It says, stocks in the communist-run country are due to run out on Tuesday. Its government said, according to Reuters. Cuba is reliant on oil from Venezuela, its top supplier until recent disruptions, receiving barrels in exchange for sending security personnel and other assistance to Caracas. Airlines from the U.S., Panama, and Mexico are expected to be the hardest hit by the shortage. See, airlines from the U.S., Panama, and Mexico are expected to be hit the hardest by the shortage. You see that? So it's going to cause probably airline prices to go up. Hey, this is gonna cause a problem for him. So let's this is a developing story, something to look for. And it also made me think about how ultimately they want to lock this place down. So that's the perfect excuse to say, we ran out of jet fuel, so you can't go nowhere, right? Right in the midst of this economic collapse, ICE doing what they're doing. Right, there's a police state being built right in front of you, ready for martial law, ready for the Nipah. I'm gonna have to cut that out. Ready for the Nipah illness to spread, for them to have an excuse to go full draconian. Right, so there's all these things in the works, and now they're talking about a fuel shortage that's gonna hit U.S., Panama, and Mexico the hardest. You see, so what's gonna happen here? Okay, this could definitely, hey, they're up to something, man. Okay? And ultimately, it's Yahweh Bashim Yahushai moving prophecy forward, man. All right? So this is going to have something to do with something. in the grand scheme of things. It says the disruption is expected to strain the country's already frail tourism industry, which endured an 18-point decline in visitor numbers last year and is struggling to recover from C-19, the Financial Times reports. It added that Cuba has not received any oil since early January when it got a shipment from Mexico, and that swaths of the island's business are subject to U.S. government trade restrictions. See, so America is doing all type of things in other countries that is none of his business, man. You see, he literally just went and took control of a whole nother country, man, to oppress them. You see? All right. Hey, this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Right? The wine being those philosophies, he's a proud man. Right? They're very proud, these Edomites. Just look at the picture, how proud he looks. All right? Neither keepeth at home, right? They not minding their business. They over there in Venezuela. They want to take Greenland, you know. They telling Mexico, oh, don't give Cuba no oil. You know? You see? Who enlargeth his desire as hell, right? That insatiable greed of the so-called white man. All right? You're seeing it here. Okay? Invading a whole nother country. The shit he accused other countries of doing, he himself is doing it. All right? Over there in the Middle East, he accused them he accused, what was it? Russia of invading Ukraine. Okay, what they do in Venezuela, they invaded Venezuela and kidnapped their leader and put their own leader, installed their own leader there. You know, that's pretty much another state of America over there. You know? It says, and is as death, right? This man's ways are as death. And you can see that clearly with the way they run this society, man. The people dropping dead from the C-19 jump shot, from the foods. You know, this health system doesn't work, man. I heard a story today about this man. You know, he had some type of an illness where his foot, they were going to have to amputate it. You know, he had some really bad diabetes. And so, you know, he went to some other therapy, some other place where they have you in a cryogenic chamber, I believe it's called. You know, some oxygen thing where it's compressed and shit. So he went in there for 2 hours and it killed the illness from his foot. But then his eyes, he lost his eyesight to a large extent. So now he's got to wear like these big ass glasses, bifocals or whatever the hell, you know. So, you know, see, the thing here in Babylon, man, it's not about you getting better, healthier, increasing, you know, in strength and power, building a family. This place is about complete submission to the elites. You people work for these elites like chattel. All right? And your misery is just another way for them to make money. Everything is a way for them to make money. Okay, the food, the clothes you wear is fake. The clothes causes illnesses in your skin. The scripture says to only wear clothes made of one fabric. And you go to the store, all these clothes are made of different fabrics. They got plastic like polyester and shit like that lowers your vibration. Okay, we could go on and on and on. This man's ways is death. Look at the family unit, man. A man can't put his woman in his place because she could call the police. I just saw a man earlier today. I heard a story. A man, you know, he went to go see his child. He was holding his child. And I guess he got into an argument with his wife. She called the cops, you know, and, you know, I don't know the whole story, but he was holding his child and you know, went up to the police and they all opened fire on him and killed the child and the man, you know. But see, if Esau would stay out of people's business and, you know, let people live how they're supposed to according to scriptures, the man being the head of the house, we wouldn't have all these problems, right? Same thing with this man Esau going to other countries, causing problems around the world. All right, this man is a menace to the world. These Edomites, man. Not to mention what they did to the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, putting us in slavery, right? You had the transatlantic slave trade. You had the Spanish conquest, the land of America stolen from the Native American Indians. And that same behavior has never left. As you see, they just did it to Venezuela, man. Okay, and now they're oppressing Cubans all the way over there. You see, no oil for you, right? You see, it says, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all peoples, right? And that's what it's coming to. That's what that chip is all about, right? To have everybody in hardcore digital slavery. Okay, and that's the time that's coming. And when that chip comes, that's when this war is gonna go nuclear. That's when, ultimately the Lord is gonna have to destroy this bitch off the map. This bitch America, Babylon. Okay, and now, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna keep an eye on this, Lord's will. We make a part 2 to see what happens with the airlines. Okay, this was February 9th. This was yesterday, so we'll see what happens if, they start shutting down airports or whatever the hell. Hey, just in time for them to start closing everything down. They got the concentration camps set up. They got them guillotines set up, man. Hey, this could be it. This could be a sign of what is to come, and one of their schemes, right? Or it could just be another way that they're going to piss off Russia and these other countries, and ultimately it's going to cause that great assembly, the assembly of great nations, man. Let's get that real quick. This is Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 9. For lo, I will rise. Salaki, I'm going to read it again. Jeremiah 59. It says, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. That's Russia, right? Russia is the north country, okay? The northernmost country in the world is Russia. And there's going to be an assembly of great nations that are going to be led by Russia. You've got China, Iran, North Korea. You've got all these Arab countries that are going to come together with Iran, right? Ultimately, everybody's going to come against this place. You still got Japan. They remember what happened when America dropped them nukes over there. All right, they remember. It says, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence shall she be taken. Their arrows shall be of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain, right? Once these nukes get shot off, they're not going to return. They're not going to be shot down. They will hit their target, man. And that's basically all I wanted to go into. But yeah, man, this is just a quick hit. Just wanted to go into how this is, hey, this could be a part of a part of what pisses off Russia and all these other countries just a bit more. And also they could be bringing in some lockdowns soon and use that as an excuse, man. But yeah, man, with that, actually, let me bring out one more preset, man. Let me bring out one more preset. And then there was that one I wanted to grab with because this is the Lord's will, and this is ultimately all these heathen nations, they're not innocent either. They had us in slavery, and they're all together with Esau to keep our people in bondage, okay, to keep our people down so they can enjoy their wicked rulerships, so they could sacrifice to their idols, right? Like you see in the E.P. Stein files, right? All those children go missing, they get sacrificed to those idols so they can keep this wicked world ruling through their left-hand spiritual powers. Okay, but the Lord is going to end this shit, man. He's going to end the so-called white man. And these other nations are also, they're going to be finished too. These rulerships are going to be finished, man. And so the Lord is going to set us back on top. Okay, but let's grab these precepts real quick, man. This is Psalms 10 and 5. His ways are always grievous, right? Speaking of the so-called white man, thy judgments are far above out of his sight. Right, the ways of the Lord, this Edomite can't understand it, man. That's why they do everything contrary to the scriptures, fucking up the earth, fucking up people's health. They even poisoning the air they have to breathe. These elites, they're over there in their castles, drinking the red stuff. You already know, okay. all this gold, silver. Yeah, but they still got to breathe this toxic air. You see, they're not wise. These people are foolish, right? And it says, as for all his enemies, he puffeth at them, right? You know, because America is making an enemy of all these other nations, man. Even though they are together against the Lord, you know, the Lord is gathering them together to go to war in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, man. The Lord is gathering them to go to war together. Okay. This is Joel chapter 3 and verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, right? Stop working and building all this shit for your society and start making weaponry. Start getting ready to fight, right? The Lord is putting that spirit on all these nations. It says, in your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I am strong. See, all these countries are now starting to puff at America. You see, you even had Mexico saying, we're not going to stand for this, that, and a third. Even Venezuela, before they got taken over, we're talking about we not scared. So, you know, even though they lost, they're still puffing, which is prophecy right there, man. Okay, verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? That's over there in the Middle East. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. You see, so the Lord is basically going to punish all these heathen over there, man. You're going to have that draft. You're going to have World War III, boots on the ground. All right. And it's going to be a great meat grinder for all these nations. You know, the population is going to be greatly depleted, right? Which, hey, that's what these elites want. But ultimately, the elites don't know that that's what the Lord wants. The Lord has them in his back pocket. The Lord has these elites in his back pocket because ultimately, as we know, as we always go into in this channel, the Lord controls both sides, good and evil. Right? It says, verse 13, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. That's right, man. That's right. And, you know, we're going to stop there. That's all I wanted to grab, just a quick hit. So with that, I want to finish by giving all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakodash, double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us His truth, the sincere shalom to the hopeful electors out there listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom wa, abad babal.